Welcome to part one of our interview with Kaye Scott. We're going to be focusing on her background. G'day, Kaye.
G'day, thanks for having me.
Welcome. So some people may not know who you are yet, so what are you famous for? You're sitting here in the Australian outfit, so what's the famous bit?
I am an Australian female boxer that's been representing our country for over 10 years in the national team. I've had a bit of success. I've been to all the Commonwealth Games since females have been introduced with the sport of boxing, so right back in Glasgow in 2014, all the way through to Birmingham at the end of last year, and I managed to secure myself a silver medal there. And I've also recently come back from the World Championships only about a month ago now, and managed to secure myself a number 2 ranking in the world and grabbed another silver medal there.
So the second best boxer in the world.
Yeah, that's I like the sound of that.
That's pretty good. So let's start back at the beginning. So where were you born?
I was born in Barara, so Upper North Shore, and I've lived most of my life all along Hornsby, Barara Way. I do have a strong link to the coast because I do my boxing training up here, and my mum's lived up here for about 10 years as well. So
would that be Giracal country?
Yes.
There you go. So you're born down there. Mum and dad, they both from down there?
Dad, yes, they're both Sydney, both from Sydney.
Yeah. What do mum and dad do?
Mummy's still working. She is 72 now.
Oh, wow.
But she's still working down at the Sand Hospital in Wahroonga. She travels down once a week and is an emergency care nurse there.
Okay.
Dad's retired. He does a little bit of consultancy work with a law firm, but he spent the majority of his life working with Coles Myer in different departments there.
Okay. Very good. Brothers and sisters?
A lot of them. I'm from one of 6.
Wow.
So 5 girls and 1 boy.
Is that where the fighting came in? You were able to fight for your way through?
Trying to just assert my authority over my brother. No, it came later in the stage of my life, but middle child syndrome, I'd say.
Fair enough. So what do the siblings do? Any others in elite sport or anything like that?
No, I'm the only one there. Like, we all played sport growing up, but I'm probably the only one that's taken it to an elite level. I've got a big mixture. My brother works on Sydney ferries. My older sister is done a lot of work. She worked overseas on the super yachts. She's doing a lot of design now. My second oldest sister is working with a company being kind of like a personal assistant.
Okay.
And then my 2 younger ones are still kind of studying and just working part-time.
Okay, very good. So talking about study, where did you go to school? Primary school?
Primary school, Barara Public School girl. Did that all the way up until year 6, and then I went to Asquith Girls High. Okay.
How did you find school?
I didn't mind school. I think I was a pretty conscientious student. I did quite well academically, and I loved sport growing up as well.
Okay.
So both sides of things.
And both the schools had good sporting programs to allow you to get?
Yeah, it's pretty basic with the public school if you compare it with some of the opportunities some of the private schools get. But if you go well, there's still plenty of opportunities there that you can create for yourself.
Okay. What was your favourite subject? Apart from sport.
I was going to say PE, but I also really enjoyed biology as well.
Yeah.
I also did dance as a subject because all in high school, from when I was like 8 years old, I danced growing up as well, just doing a bit of jazz and ballet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, never thought to go that way? Boxing was better than the professional dancer?
The way my body kind of matured, I wasn't going to be a dancer. That was never going to be a ballerina, even though I think I would have liked to have been. No, yeah, I think that's a very tough sport to get into.
I agree. They are some of the best sports people I've ever seen.
Amazing. I've got a lot of admiration to them.
Yeah. So what was something which was really hard for you in that growing up?
I'd probably just say attention from my parents, like one of six, and that's probably part of the reason why I tried so hard at school and I was decent academically and with sports thing, because I would get some attention from my parents, because it was very difficult for six kids. We've all got different sports. We're being run around everywhere in different directions, soccer here, netball here. That was probably challenging. And then also my parents divorced as well. So I'd say that was a pretty tough thing to go through, even though it was kind of later. It was start of university. So we had a big range. My older sisters were already out working. Home. The younger ones were still in high school, and I was just starting uni. So I think any kind of change of that family system that you had, I probably took it the hardest than everyone else, because I just loved that family unit. It was a big change to adjust to.
So some people may not know what does change in that dynamic. So having to go to each parent's house, or the family dinners aren't the same. What does change?
I think it becomes different relationships between the two parents. Like my parents are very amicable with each other now. I'm very lucky in that regard. But while you're going through that process, I guess as a young adult, you find it hard of what you can talk to each parent and what you can say to this person, and then selling the family home, and my mum deciding to move up here, and Dad stayed in Sydney. So a lot of changes on that front that I found difficult. And initially they actually moved away, so it meant university I didn't have the ability to stay at home as well. So I was kind of like straight out on my own in university, which made it quite challenging to work and try to study at the same time. But like any scenario, your challenges, you
made it through, and
you become resilient, and you learn to overcome that, and you're probably better off for it in the long run, even though it doesn't seem like it in that moment.
Yeah. So, we all have ups and downs, and we discuss it down. What's a real big up? What was one of the highlights of your childhood? One of the things you just go, oh, that was just so much.
It's a interesting question. Honestly, it would probably just be something so simple, like it'd be the weekends with the family, like a summer's day. We had a pool at home, and all of us outside, like playing with each other down at the pool. We used to have quite a big backyard, and Dad would always cook a barbecue every Sunday, and had this old cowbell on top of the back veranda that ring the cowbell when it was time to get out of the pool. And I also remember that time Gladiators was a TV show that was on then, and we all loved watching Gladiators after we had the barbecue, and that's probably a really fond, simple memory of us all just being happy together, and I loved playing in the pool, and it's just really happy memories.
Yeah. So was he any good at a barbecue?
He's really good now, but he used to always burn everything. But then he'd blame us because we never got out of the pool in time. But he's pretty good now.
As a father, I can blame the kids for everything. It's easy. All right. So after high school, what did you do? You went to uni. So what did you do at uni?
Yeah, I did relatively well in high school. I remember it was back in the UAI times. I really was thinking about potentially doing medicine, and I didn't get enough of a high UAI to be able to do that. So kind of a bridging course to choose was medical science, and I squeezed enough of a mark to just slip into that. So I think it was 91, and I got exactly 91. So I enrolled in that at Macquarie University. But I think probably with some of the subjects, organic chemistry, and some of my mathematics ability from high school, it really was above my ability to be able to do. It was kind of assumed 4-unit mathematics, and I just did really well in general mathematics.
Okay.
So I found it a big struggle. I pushed through and got through the first year, and under my dad's encouragement, he was like, it'll be easier the second year. It wasn't easier. So I decided that I'd change courses 1.5 years into it, and luckily a lot of my subjects counted for credit, and I decided I'd enrol in a sports science degree over at UTS, and I also stayed on to do a 4th year dip ed as well, so I'd be a qualified high school teacher as well.
Oh, very good. So how did you get into boxing? Did you do it as a youth, or how did you get into the boxing?
It's a bit of an odd one to get into, and I really kind of just stumbled into it. I did a lot of kind of mostly netball and dance in high school, but I kind of had enough. I'd been playing it since I was 7, 8 years old, and university I still loved sport, so I was going to the gym a lot, and one of the kind of group exercise classes was, as a lot of gyms still have now, like your boxercise and box fit type class.
Yeah.
And the instructor of that class was also a boxing coach. So he used to do just the fitness boxing for anyone that pops in. But afterwards he took some boys that were fighters and trained them afterwards. And he kind of hassled me a little bit and go, oh, like you throw a punch pretty well and you're really fit. Like I'd love you to hang back and I can teach you some stuff with the boys. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I used to do the class with my best friend, and one time after him just hassling for kind of 4 or 5 months, I was like, okay, I'll try it once. So I dragged her along with me as well, and I left that class saying that was amazing. I really, really love it. I'm intrigued by it. It was so much fun. And she left that class going, I am never doing that again. So I had to do a little bit of kind of tag touch where you're just punching each other on the shoulders, and she was like, nah, not for me. And I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
And honestly, it just evolved from there. I decided I'd join up at my local PCYC club, and it's just slow and steady. I was the only girl that came along to the class and wasn't really given too much attention. I just rocked up and the bags were there, and I just tried to hit the bag, and eventually I'd been coming for a few months and they're like, oh, she's not going away. Better go over and just give her a little bit of information, and it just rolled on from there.
So we're here today at Complete Boxing. How did you end up here? What was the pathway to get to here?
I had a bit of a journey along this kind of 12 years, I think, competing now. It might be 12 or 13 years. So my first kind of club that I worked in was Hornsby PCYC there. I was with my coach Danny for maybe about 6 years. Then I moved and travelled up here with another Central Coast coach who a lot of people actually know because he was a fighter and went to the Olympics, Jamie Pittman. And I was training with him up on the Central Coast here, but he's now employed with Boxing Australia and moved to Canberra. And I've known Joel throughout my entire career because he's heavily involved with PCYC and Boxing New South Wales. And I'd done a bit of work with the PCYC and been to a few of his camps. I loved his style of boxing. So it was kind of my natural progression. When Jamie left, I asked him whether he'd have me in the gym and I'd love him to be my coach. And I haven't looked back from there. It's probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. And he's amazing, and I love the gym here.
And I'm definitely sure you're not the only female in here either.
Oh, I'm definitely not.
He has a lot of good athletes in here.
Yeah, very good.
Well, that's the end of part 1 of our interview with Kaye Scott. Part 2 will be us looking at her boxing career.